Yes guys, welcome to a brand new video. My name is Conan and you are apparently in a calorie deficit but you're still not losing any weight. So in today's video we're going to be breaking down exactly what could potentially be going on here, because if you really claim to be in a calorie deficit, you really should be losing weight because you cannot break the rules of thermodynamics. So clearly something is wrong here. So let's break it down. The first mistake that I see so many people make is that they underestimate portion sizes. Are you really tracking everything accurately? Even minor, small, eeny, meeny, tiny miscalculations in portion sizes can lead to hundreds, if not thousands of unaccounted calories in the span of an entire week, right? So like I said, most people underestimate how much they're eating, leading to them thinking that they're in a calorie deficit when they're actually not. And now a good thing for you guys to do right away is start measuring your food on a digital food scale, because I see a lot of people make the mistake where they're kind of eyeballing things and they'll look on the back of a package. Let's say you're trying to have some cereal for breakfast. You look on the back, it's like, okay, one serving has 120 calories, which is around 30 to 40 grams, depending on what kind of cereal you get. And then you're just kind of like eyeballing it, right? Whereas if you actually want to be accurate with this, because especially when it comes to cereals, ice creams, and all the other things that are really difficult to like eyeball, you're more than likely going to be underestimating, especially if you're not using a food scale, and especially when it comes to peanut butter. I used to make this mistake in the past before where it said 1 tablespoon has 90 calories. So I'm like, okay. I grabbed a big dollop and I was like, okay, this is considered a tablespoon, right? When in reality, what I did was it was actually worth, I think, 4 or 5 tablespoons. And so make sure, if you're not already, to measure all of your food using a digital food scale. Don't use measuring cups. Don't do tablespoons, teaspoons, all these things, because same thing with the peanut butter analogy. You can almost like create your own serving size and you can claim to say that this is a tablespoon when in reality it's just like a big dollop of something, right? So digital food scale is going to be your best friend to make sure that you're not underestimating or overestimating, that you're actually going to be 100% accurate. If the back of the package says 100 calories per 30 grams, you're going to measure out 30 grams, which then you know it is exactly 100 calories. No guesswork going on here. Moving on to the second mistake, and that is ignoring liquid calories. You got to remember, the calories that come from liquid form also have calories in them, but you gotta take them into account, right? So this could include your smoothies, your morning coffee, your morning tea, and even like these healthy juices. They can add up very, very quickly, especially when it comes to the morning beverages. Again, we don't really take this into account because it's kind of like part of our morning ritual where we'll either make our own coffee or our own tea, and then we'll add sugars, creamers, milk inside, right? Or we go to a Starbucks and we order a latte or a frappuccino, and we just kind of go about our day thinking that, yeah, this is part of my morning routine, but then you don't keep track of the calories, right? And they can very easily add up very quickly, especially if you go to Starbucks, and especially if you have a couple coffees, even with some sugar, with some cream, it can add up very, very quickly, which can actually push you out of a deficit without you even realizing it, right? And why I'm such a not big fan of liquid calories is because, especially the ones that I just listed, they don't really give you much bang for the buck, meaning that you'll drink them, right? But then you don't really get full afterwards, right? Because it's almost been like pre-digested, meaning that whenever it goes through your system, your body doesn't have to go through like its digestive system to like fully work on breaking it down, because it's already in liquid form. So you drink it and then boom, there you go. It doesn't fill you up whatsoever. And if, depending on what it is, you could easily be drinking like extra 2, 3, 4, 500 extra calories without it even filling you up. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather actually feel full after consuming calories as opposed to feeling absolutely nothing. And especially if you're trying to lose weight and you're in a calorie deficit, you are limited on the amount of calories that you can actually consume. So I do not want to be wasting my calories on food or on things that are coming in liquid form. I'd rather eat my food, chew my food, and actually feel full afterwards. The third mistake, this is a big one. Cheat days gone overboard. One entire day, unfortunately, can undo an entire week of progress. This is a really sad reality, but it is the case. If you're consistently in a calorie deficit during the week, but go all out on the weekends, it can quite literally erase all of your progress. One high calorie day might actually balance out your entire weekly deficit. So let's say, for an example's sake, you're in a 500 calorie deficit every single day, which will put you in a 3,500 calorie deficit for the entire week, right? So if you guys have watched my videos in the past before, you would know that 3,500 calories is 1 pound of fat. So if you were in a 500 calorie deficit per day, you would aim to lose around 1 pound of fat per week, right? And now if you're doing that, but you're noticing that you're not losing any weight, but you also kind of have like a cheat day on the weekend, whether it's a Friday night with the boys or a Saturday night evening with your partner or a Sunday brunch time, whatever it may be, right? And you happen to eat 3,500 calories on top of what you would normally eat, which it's definitely doable, especially if you are in a deficit and you can like starve yourself throughout the entire week, Monday through Friday. A lot of people can kind of work up an appetite, right? So it's pretty easy to eat a 3,500 calorie meal if you go to like a McDonald's or if you go to wherever, like a big restaurant. Very easily done, right? And then you eat that, and then you hop on a scale the following week, and it's like, I haven't lost any weight. And unfortunately, it is because your cheat days have gone overboard. And so when you do this, make sure not to overdo it, right? If you go out to a restaurant, if you do something, still keep track of the food, right? Don't have like this all or nothing approach where when you go out, allowing yourself to eat everything in sight, because like I said, that can very easily put you out of a deficit for the entire week. So don't make that mistake. And I assume that you don't want all your hard work to go to waste, because I don't know about you, but if I put in a lot of effort into my diet, into my workouts throughout the entire week, I do not want to punish myself by going out on the weekends, by drinking a bunch of alcohol or eating a big high-calorie meal, and then pretty much erasing all of my progress. The fourth mistake now is not counting the small stuff. So this goes back to the liquid calories, right? Adding in the creamers, the sugars, but this also includes the snacks, right? Because the small stuff can 100% definitely add up, which also kind of sucks, but it is what it is. This includes the snacks, the small bites, or even like the taste tests that you do while cooking are often forgotten, but they can very easily add up to more calories than you would think, right? And especially at work, if you're in an environment where there's constantly like snacking involved, right? If there's like a handful of peanuts, for example, right? Or small little things that you have around the house, right? You may not really take that into account, and it may not seem like a huge deal in that very moment, right? But if you consistently, couple times throughout the day, right? A handful of peanuts here and there, a handful of M&Ms, even like a couple pieces of fruits that you're not taking into account, right? Despite it being healthy, it still has calories. And if you're not taking that into account, you could easily add hundreds of extra calories into your day. And if you do that throughout the entire week, every single day, yeah, it could easily take you out of a deficit, right? So as you can tell, right, these aren't really like big things that are like super noticeable. All these mistakes just tend to be like small little things, right, that tend to creep up on you. So if you're not careful, they can definitely creep up on you, right? And now the last thing here is overestimating your calories burnt. Exercise 100% does help, but it doesn't mean that you can just go overboard and eat unlimited calories. Many people tend to overestimate, and not just people, but most of the devices, the phones, the Fitbits, the Apple Watches, the iPhones tend to overestimate the calories burned during your workouts. Exercise, like I said, supports a deficit, but it doesn't mean that you can eat back everything that you just burned, right? Nutrition, I would say, is 70, if not 80% of everything. The exercise portion is around 20%, but it's a really bad mindset to have to do exercise just to burn calories and then looking on your watch and seeing how many calories you burned and then trying to eat back whatever you just burned. View exercise as a way to stay active. It's good for your heart. It's good for your bones. It's good for all these things, but don't really view it as burning calories, because it is quite shocking to see how much exercise is really required in order to burn 200 calories. And it is far easier to just not put food into your mouth. It is far easier not to eat 200 calories than it is to burn 200 calories, because depending on the size, the activity you're doing, it could take up to 30 minutes to burn 200 calories, whereas eating 200 calories I can do in seconds. And so, yeah, the ROI there isn't really there if you break it fully down. I forgot, this is actually the last one. Number 6 is not accounting for plateaus. So we got to remember that weight loss will not always be linear, like not always going to be losing weight every single week. Fluctuations happen, plateaus most definitely happen. And so as your body kind of adapts to the calorie deficit, what may once have been a deficit for you, it may not be a deficit for you anymore, right? So let's say you start your weight loss journey at 200 pounds, you're eating, let's say 3,000 calories, that's a 500 calorie deficit for you. As you continue on losing weight, let's say you get down to 190 pounds, 180 pounds, whatever it may be, eating the same amount of calories at a newer body weight may no longer be a calorie deficit for you, right? Because now you're simply at a lighter weight, your metabolism has probably slowed down a bit, maybe your NEAT has gone down, which stands for your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So maybe you're just not as active throughout the day, because a really common thing whenever people go through a fat loss journey is that, their NEAT, the small little things they do throughout the day, whether it's fidgeting or moving around, just being hyperactive, all these things, they tend to kind of like lower or like not do as much of that. And then the amount of calories that you burn throughout the day may actually be lower now. And so what may have been a deficit for you in the past may now not be a deficit for you anymore, which is why it is super, super important to continue on monitoring your progress, see how your weight's going. And if you notice that you're hitting a plateau, you're stalling a bit, and if you know that you're actually still eating the same amount of calories that you were prior, then it may mean that you have to make some adjustments to your routine to put you in that further deficit again. Because like I said, what may have been a deficit for you may actually now, a couple months down the road, be like your new maintenance level. And so in order for you to keep making progress, you're going to have to keep digging and create that further deficit for fat loss to occur. To summarize everything together, a couple of tips to ensure that you're going to be successful on your weight loss journey. Number 1, track accurately using a food scale for more precision. Don't use measuring cups. Don't do anything old school. Like, we live in 2024 now. You can get a digital food scale for $20 at Walmart. Super easy, super convenient to do. And this is the only guaranteed way to ensure that you're actually eating the 30 grams of a serving size or the 15 grams from the tablespoon of peanut butter, right? Guesswork will not cut it anymore, especially if you're in a plateau, if you're not losing any weight. Definitely switch over to a digital food scale. They'll last forever, they're super cheap, and it'll be a great investment. Number 2, include all liquid calories and small bites into your calorie count. So don't neglect it, especially the small stuff, whether it's just snacking on peanuts throughout the day, on fruits, the creamers you put into your coffee, the sugars you put into your coffee, the healthy smoothies that you have throughout the day. Take that into account into your daily calories for the day. Number 3, limit high-calorie cheat days or find healthier alternatives. I'm not saying you cannot eat out at your favorite restaurant again. All I am saying is that just keep track of what the meal is, right? And try not to go overboard, right? Because we discussed the analogy. You can very easily eat a 3,500 calorie meal in one sitting, and that could take you out of the entire deficit for the entire week, if not put you in a slight surplus, which actually makes you gain weight, right? And especially if you're on top of things Monday through Friday, the last thing that you want to do is ruin all of your progress in just one very single stupid day, right? You don't want to be doing that. Fourthly, focus on consistency even through plateaus. If you do hit a plateau and you're hitting all these 3 bullet points, then you may have to make some adjustments to your actual calories, because again, what may have been a calorie deficit for you at the start, a couple months down the road, as you get smaller and leaner, may not be a deficit for you anymore. So that's when you're going to have to either increase your energy expenditure by increasing your daily steps or your movement throughout the day, or making adjustments to your nutrition by reducing your caloric intake. Or you can do a combination of both. Anything you got to do to be in a calorie deficit, so be it. And again, being in a true calorie deficit always results in weight loss. So make sure that you're truly there. If you claim to be in a calorie deficit, but you're not losing any weight, guess what? You are not in a calorie deficit. So make sure that you go through these bullet points to ensure that you're following everything accurately. And then I guarantee you, if you do all of these things, I assure you that you're going to be 100% accurate with things, and you're actually going to be in a calorie deficit. And hey, let's say you do all these things and you notice that you're not losing any weight, then you clearly know you're not in a calorie deficit. So there you go. That is everything that I have for you guys in today's video. If you guys do have any questions for me, as always, please let me know, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.